I am Kevin Sherrington. Joining me in the studio today, David Moore. There's no Evan Grant today,
which
a bonus.
I'm surprised he didn't leave a cutout of him in his seat, since he's the only one that actually looks into the camera on these things.
Yeah, he does.
And he does look into. In fact, I've noticed during the Cowboys segments, he doesn't say much, but he continually mugs into the camera.
I thought, you know what, I'm going to knock out a column here on the Rangers and
get it
up early.
He did. By the time I landed from D.C., it was already there.
Yeah, on the Cowboys, and knocking it out early and get it in there for digital, because that's a big thing. We want to get that early, get there around lunchtime. Why people should get that. And then while I'm at lunch, then they made the trade for Amari Cooper. So out with that column, in with a new column. Now, my take on it was that, sure, there's some risk involved in this deal. There's a risk involved in any kind of deal. But I think, of course, I'd be a little hypocritical to come out against it now after I wrote last week that they should trade for him. So I think this was a good deal. I don't know what kind of dividends it will pay right away. There is a question, of course. He's under the concussion protocol. How soon can he develop any kind of rapport? I do feel like, however, that the threat of him alone is enough to at least loosen up defenses a little bit and help their running game.
It should. And look, the Cowboys would not have given up a first-round pick if they had given up on their chances for the postseason.
Right.
That just doesn't make sense. And so this is a very clear signal to the players and the coaches that, look, our postseason expectations are still in place. With this move, we feel we've given you what you need. Now, deliver. I think there are a lot of implications and ramifications to this move, and I believe there will be consequences if this team, in what ownership feels is a playoff race that is still wide open, even though they're 3-4. If this team fails to make the playoffs, I believe there will be consequences. I don't believe those consequences come crashing down around Amari Cooper. I believe they come crashing down among the coaching staff. And when you're looking forward, this pick, this trade ties directly into their evaluation of Dak Prescott as far as whether or not he is a true franchise quarterback going forward, because he gives you a lot of the things they say that Dak Prescott needs. Good speed, good size, an outstanding route runner, can create separation on his routes. You don't need to scheme him open like you do some other receivers, which they don't like to do in this system as much.
It'll be interesting to me to see what it is, when you watch a game when Dak's playing, and sometimes it's hard on television because you don't get the broad field of vision that you see sometimes, like when Tony Romo pointed out in the game the other day when Dak took off and ran for 10 yards, there were two guys wide open, one in the end zone wide open, and he's not seeing that. So is he, a quarterback's not going to see every receiver on every play, but there's a question of whether he's seeing people, or is it a question of sometimes with Dak, and this is what I feel like with him and his internal clock and the way his mind is working, is that I am so averse to turning the ball over. I got to see a guy wide open. I got to think that, first of all, I got to think that this guy can get open, which is what he thinks with Cole Beasley. This guy I know can get open, and when I look at him, he is open. There I go.
Sure.
Now what that means sometimes is you're not throwing timing patterns, you're not throwing guys to get open, you're not throwing them open, you're not doing those things.
This is going to go to the end of game management again with 52 seconds left when the Cowboys have the ball at the 46-yard line. One timeout. They've just completed an 18-yard pass to Cole Beasley. What do? Rather than take a shot down the field to try to win the game, they're like, oh, look, let's just run a couple of short passes here, which they did, a couple of short passes to Beasley, got a few more yards, and then 12 seconds left when they actually Washington had to use a timeout when they spiked it to review a play that was review play was overturned. Well, Dallas didn't even lose that spike play. They got that play back, and rather than take a shot,
you were getting even
closer.
There.
They just plunged Ezekiel Elliott between the hash marks to set it up better for the kicker. Well, the thing is, as soon as they got to the 46-yard line with 52 seconds left, they were playing for a field goal in the tie immediately. There was no thought
that was the stunning thing
to winning the game or even to getting in a better spot for a chip shot field goal. It was, we've got a field goal here, let's tie it, get in it overtime. And to me, that just – and look, all the players I talked to bought into it. And I know that sometimes players will tell you something and feel differently behind the scenes, but a lot of times it's the way they respond and they tell you things that you pick up signals on. I didn't get the sense that anyone offensively had a problem with that. And to me, that speaks to the lowered expectations of this offense that they have accepted for themselves. After they couldn't get Sammy Watkins, they acquired Hearns and Thompson in free agency, traded for Tavon Austin, and drafted Michael Gallup. So now look at all those four. Hearns has underperformed. Thompson hasn't given them much. Hasn't been bad, but hadn't given them much. It's just a nickel and dime guy the way they've used him. Gallup has flashed here the last two games. I would say on target or has met expectations for what they thought. Tavon Austin, immediate impact. His speed really helped them. Now he has a groin injury, and they don't even know if he'll return this year. So 3 of the 4 moves they made in the aftermath of being able to get Sammy Watkins and letting Dez Bryant go have not worked. So they conceded this on Monday and agreed, even by their own admission, even though they will never state it publicly, to overpay with a first-round pick to get Amari Cooper in here to see if they can straighten out the mistake that they made in their personnel decisions.